how are you?
Hello, Danielle.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm fresh off of the Bridgerton Valentine's Day posting. Um, and we're back for
Uh,
the edition of We Are Sophie, so we can talk about it.
we are Sophie, and we can talk about it. I have so many feelings right now,
I feel
and
like
as
we
it
can
was,
talk about more than they were able to talk about.
oh my goodness, right? We're gonna talk about so much more than they did. Like I feel, welcome to our Valentine's special. Here's where you'll get the actual tea. Woo!
Okay. So I, off the bat, feel simultaneously frustrated and excited about the pictures that they finally revealed. But oh my goodness, that felt like such a tease, like a really long, drawn out tease.
Did. It certainly did. I felt that I was hearing things that I already knew throughout the thing. I was like, this is information I already have. Thank you very much. And at the same time, I felt very excited. At the same time, I felt very frustrated and still like sad. And I thought that I was completely over that. And like just seeing the images, hearing them talking about the scenes and stuff like that, I was like, well, that's kind of sad. Even when Jess mentioned like nobody could have played Sophie, and I was like,
I know. I was like,
I
my
was like,
stages of pain are at a minimum. It's fine.
I was like, well, I have a couple of other options. I could have done, could have worked just fine, you know.
You know what? I am finally at a point. I'm excited to see Yerin Ha. I'm excited to see her performance. I was super frustrated that they barely let the woman speak and there were microphone issues. And I was like, we have finally got our Benedict and our Sophie on screen. And Jess Brownell is just like, so let me tell you about every other character right now that doesn't matter because they're also not here.
I was very confused, and I'm glad that you brought it up like this because in my head I was like, does Jering doesn't really connect with the story just yet? Is she doesn't feel comfortable talking about it? Because yes, there were microphone issues. I could barely hear Luke at the first. When Luke first started talking, I was like, I cannot hear anything he's saying. And Golda was like her voice was up here, and I was like, there are microphone issues happening right now. But whenever she would speak, I would be like, is she really worried about, spoilers? Is
Mm.
it that she doesn't really know what she can say, cannot say? She's not gonna like it felt really odd. Maybe it's because her first experience, obviously, talking about the show. But I did felt like she's not saying anything. I'm just hearing yes, speak and a little glimpses here and there, but I still did not feel like, oh my God, we have Benedict and Sophie ready to tell us their story. I did not felt that.
That's because we did not get that. We got like breadcrumbs at the very least. And it just felt like they were unsure what they were allowed to share. It makes me wonder, is the script unfinished? Are we only filming the masquerade? How many times did they repeat? So there's gonna be a masquerade. It's like if you read the back of the book, it starts there. Nobody doesn't know this.
We know there's a masquerade. We know it's pretty much the whole first episode now. They have told us. I mean, and obviously they confirmed again my cottage and they confirmed the lake scene, but we already kind of knew that. Like, I feel that I was like, obviously. So I was kind of happy to hear that they're sticking to the book more than the past season. So that was like a
Oh,
nice thing to hear.
yeah, we'll see what that's about because they did say they're sticking to the book relatively. And then they were also like, yeah, but we can't talk about that scene. It's not in the book. So it's like already
And
diverging
a
roads.
kite is
Yeah,
important for some reason, and
the
they
kite
can
was
mention
important.
the kite, and I was like, "What's with the kite?"
I speculate the kite could be a memory of Sophie's childhood before Araminta enters the scene when she's still seen as the ward and
Yeah,
is having a proper childhood.
oh,
I don't know.
perhaps.
What else do you think the kite could be?
I mean, they did kind of give a glimpse that it was their first. scene they filmed together. So I don't
Ooh, is that what they said? Never mind.
yeah, I think they did. Maybe I got it wrong, but they were like, "Is this your first thing that you guys felt?" And yeah, I think. And then the kite, and I was like, "What's happening?" So they were kind of like just saying little glimpses. I don't know what a cat could be about. I think they might be, changing something from the book to some sort of scene with like kite, maybe Hyacinth and Gregory bring a kite, and they come together and have a little moment. I don't know. I mean, look, T kept bringing up how Hyacinth and Gregory have a really great storyline for this season. We're gonna see them grow in front of our eyes. So
Yeah.
maybe they take over some of the things that Eloise do in the book for them.
Maybe, which is such
Oh,
a shame because I've always loved that
oh,
moment in the book, and they developed the Eloise Benedict relationship so well to lead up to that scene towards the end where Eloise is picking up what's going on between Sophie and Benedict, and now she's not gonna be there.
yeah, that's my question. Like, I hope she moves back and that can happen because if she's with Francesca through all of this, then someone else is gonna have to have that, and that's a little. I don't like it because we care so much about Benedict's and Eloise's relationship so far, and we do want to build her up for her season next year. So it's like we want her to feel that embrace of like, oh my goodness, my brother who would never find love is finding it. I feel that all of that relationship with Benedict helped Eloise in her own book, in her own story. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know what's gonna happen
yeah.
there.
We'll see, because they say they're sticking relatively to the book, but also there's
Yeah.
45 characters who are irrelevant to the book that all got their storylines mentioned today. I enjoyed it when Yerin Ha finally did get to speak. I like the sound of her voice. I like her cadence. So I look forward to how her Sophie delivers things. And I liked what she said. She was spoke when she spoke about Sophie feeling, yearning for love and learning that wanting love is not weakness. I liked that she said that, but I still feel like we're barely scratching the surface of Sophie's character.
Absolutely. I did got like those comments where I was like, yes. And I appreciate that she mentioned that. I really connected with that. And I thought it was a very good thing to say. But I feel it was just like you said, very surface. Like the answer was very, I don't know what she could else could say. She probably could not take a
Right.
whole chunk of the time. She was trying to be very straightforward. But we know these characters so well that when she finally was asked in like, what do you connect with Sophie? What is it about her? And I was like, yes, Darren, tell us. So
Right? I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to bring it back to the twinges and the pain every time they're like, no one else could play Sophie. I just want to remind any audience tuning in with us that we are two actresses who, for years, had been pitching ourselves as Sophie Beckett specifically for Bridgerton. So, like, that's why the twinges and the pain. But in addition to that, how quickly she said the audition process actually did happen because we were in communication at that time. We saw it go up, we saw it disappear, and it really was 2 weeks. And I think that's also where the pain comes from because so many years of
I
investment like flushed.
I was very surprised, especially when she mentioned like she got the audition very like late in the process. And I was like, through all of these, we've been pitching, we've been encountered with these people, the team has gotten us back here and there. And her process was very late, was very as quick as we kind of pictured because we were like, this just kind of happened so fast. And suddenly we have a Sophie when the process seemed to like still be going on. I'm happy for her. I'm happy to think that whatever she delivered, even from Australia and wherever she was doing, going back to Korea and all of that, that she mentioned, that it worked for her. And it also gets me to the point of like we didn't know that they were gonna do an Asian representation for a long time and they have known. Like, so this is all this part of this development that we were like pitching for this, and maybe they were like, yes, girl, that's fantastic. That's why we keep telling you to keep it up, but we're not going for that,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
that's not what we're gonna do this season at all. So it didn't matter how much we kept pitching ourselves. They had this very set in stone from early on.
They had a vision. It was a very secret
Hmm.
vision. We're finally getting sneak peeks. Finally, because the first sneak peek
Finally.
was of like a wall. And I was like, are you kidding?
Yeah, I was like, what? Great.
Oh, but then we finally got some pictures.
We've
Thank
got
goodness.
many pictures.
Yeah, I found when we finally got to see the costumes of her
Mm.
masquerade dress and his masquerade costume, the first thing I thought of was the Princess Bride because
Yes.
that
It's so
color
white.
it's like a silvery bluish essence. It looks just like her final costume at the royal wedding where they escape, and he looks like the Dread Pirate Roberts.
He
They
did.
said Romeo, and I was like, he's not giving Romeo. He's giving
No.
Dread Pirate Roberts. So
Yeah.
that made me a little excited. And the mask, they really went out of their way to obscure any feature that wasn't just her mouth.
I appreciated that
I'm
very much
very into
because otherwise I was like, is this always so dumb when people don't recognize people in masks?
hmm
So they did went out of the way for that to literally be like, he cannot see anything but her lips. Like this man has no clue on who this person is.
at all. She literally could be anyone.
Yeah, so I appreciated that definitely. I mean, costumes always do such a marvelous job. Like, I feel that's one of the departments on the show that I'm always like, props to all the detail and everything that you think about to make the stories a lot, to give them a lot more justice than just being like, oh, they're gonna look pretty and that's it. So that seemed really great. Also, how they build so many new sets for this season. It's going to be so different
I
to
look
have.
forward to that for sure. We're finally
Yeah,
seeing the other side of what happens in a Bridgerton world. That's the significance of Sophie's story.
yeah. And I'm glad they're going to take it to also kind of see all these other characters that we've seen, just as employees through the seasons.
Yes.
Because I appreciate that. Like, I know Sophie's stories, but the fact that we're going to like actually see what's going on with these people that we kind of only seen, here and there next to the family, tell a little bit of how their own world works. That's going to be really nice to see because just like Yerin mentioned that we mentioned in a previous episode, being a maid on that time was not easy. Being like part of the help was not easy, and one minor error can put you in a whole different life path. So
Right.
I'm excited to see that.
Yes. And I like that she referenced that. She did.
Yes,
She pointed it out almost
did
almost verbatim. Like one small thing changes your whole life. It's
exactly.
true. I was very excited to see the picture of the staff sitting around a table,
Yes,
the upstairs downstairs concept. Like, this is the other side of the romance novel. It takes a village to make it happen, and this village is finally going to be recognized.
absolutely. How do you felt when Jess was mentioning that Benedict's arc is going to be like different. It's going to have a different feel than the book, and that he's going to be a little more like cutie patootie about it, and like more. How do you feel about it? Because we keep mentioning on how Benedict's story and his development is.
I am undecided because they have a rough road. Book Benedict is not palatable for a modern audience in his own book,
True.
but that is his journey. And basically, Book Benedict is dealing with his own toxic masculinity and discovering why it's toxic because it's poisoning him against the woman he loves. So I'm lukewarm about it. I'm lukewarm about it. No, but really, I am unsure because we got so little from this. I
Yeah.
have to stay tuned. He's
Will.
cutesy through every season, so they're not changing his character. Got it. But does that mean that they're going to completely swerve from what this offer from
Hmm.
this gentleman actually is, because then we're not exactly keeping to the book, are we? And they said they would be.
Yeah. I feel so, I mean, I want to trust so much Luke's process. Him as an actor has a very unique process on how he does things. And even I appreciated that he said like how he didn't really have a conversation with like Luke Newton and oh my goodness, I forgot.
Jonathan Bailey.
And yeah, and Jonathan Bailey for him to have his own process on how he is gonna do his season and the way he works and always connects. He's very good at his craft. So I would like to think that him as a male, character, that he has all of this in his power. That regardless of the changes that they may do script wise or like directing wise, that he will make sure that it's like touched in one way or the other for us to kind of like see that. Um, I obviously, like you said, I completely understand that Benedict in the book is not something that can be swallowed easily, in today's audiences, and for like maybe I don't know, 80% of the target audience, we kind of like expect to see this and the romantic fairy tale part of the story being so like vibrant and such a key, how they mention like midnight and all of these little cute little details. But I do feel that something, hopefully they give him that moment. They give him that growth because we know Benedict is amazing. We know he's cute. We know he's a great brother, great son, and he loves Sophie. We understand that, we understand he's a man in love, and but it's so important to understand that even these great men have, their shadows and that they have their process and that he needs to, get that part of him out in order for his story to make sense, for like them coming together being like that ooh moment that we have on the page.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And that
we'll
works
see.
two ways because there are moments where it's like, ooh, but there are also moments where it's like, ooh, no. And
Exactly.
it feels important that they keep that. It's not going to turn the audience away from Benedict to see that he
Hmm.
does have sides that aren't pretty. He
Exactly.
has influences that make him like every other man. And when I say like every other man, I mean that mankind has been fed a specific narrative about how to treat women they respect and then how to treat every other woman. And
Yeah.
he's not exempt from that. It doesn't make it right. The script that mankind has been fed is a bad script. And that's why we see things like the male loneliness pandemic out here because modern women are like, oh, I don't need to take this bad behavior from you. I literally choose not to have you in my life, and men can't figure out what is making their behavior bad. And I think that's why it's important that Benedict display the bad behavior so that you can course correct and then the audience can see what a course correct looks like.
Absolutely. I agree. They cannot fear that. They cannot fear people being like Benedict. Mm-mm. They
Mm-hmm.
need to, let it happen. I hope they do.
Right. I hope they do
Yeah.
too. I hope they do
And
too.
what do you felt seeing, Araminta's and Posies and Rosamund's photos, sneak peeks?
I'm mixed on the whole thing. There's always going to be a bittersweet quality until it's delivered into my lap, and I feel like we're going to have to wait another year or
Oh
more,
yeah.
for sure. But I was excited to finally see some costumes. Posey holds a special place in my heart because she is the savior in the book, and they better give that to our Posey. If they take Posey's moment and distribute it amongst someone else, I will be filled with the fury of 1,000 posies. Because
Oh yes. Yes, I feel that.
in addition to like pitching myself, I was working with another incredible actress, Deanie Horgan, who was pitching herself as Posey. And she had a great concept for Posey's character, the position she was in, and then the challenges of that role. And we haven't seen enough of Posey as they've interpreted her to judge what they're giving us. So I don't know. Right now, Posey's very surfacey. Um, her costume, I was like, at least it's green, but it doesn't look like the mermaid costume that she
Yeah.
has in the book, as opposed to Rosamund,
Mm.
who does have the proper
Yes.
silhouette for Marie Antoinette. I
Yeah,
think
maybe we haven't seen anything and these are just glimpses and we're basing, off of that. I think it's very surfacey everything. Because even, oh, we got a glimpse that Nicola, like, they're actually giving Penelope the pirate costume. And I was like, what is happening over here? Her vibes were like,
I don't know. Maybe she and Colin are in their role play era.
yeah,
Yeah, I got a screen cap. My friend sent it to me. Deanie sent it to me, and I was like, whoa. I mean, she looks fun and playful, but she also doesn't look like she's in the world of Bridgerton anymore.
I was like, what is this? Is it just like a Halloween party for like other thing happening? My girl looks
Out of place.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm still stuck on Araminta. I was very shocked to see her all in black.
Yes, me too. I was like, Be especially because just yesterday they had like this interview with them three, and she was mentioning how like her character and the way that she's gonna be dressed is gonna speak so much of her story, and they're gonna have like she's gonna have this depth on her. So and how like she's very like fashion forward, like she's supposed to be like she's gonna a statement in society. So her first glimpse being like her all in black in these like very boring, not even accurate. I was like,
They
what's
styled
happening?
her matronly. They styled her in the
They
way they
did.
style Lady Danbury and the way they sometimes style Violet Bridgerton with that cut and then in all black. And it's like, I'm sorry, Araminta is trying to show up her own daughter. Like,
Yeah.
but I guess they're not going down that road. So I don't know.
I wonder if it was like some sort of like mourning forever statement of like I'm a widow over I don't know. I have no idea because I was like this is not the way I would have pictured
Right?
Aramin first. No, but we'll see. We'll see what that
All
means,
we
what
can
that'll
do
take us.
is judge. We're so attached to the book
We
because
are.
the book was our only guide as we took ourselves through our own self-advocating journey, pitching ourselves, putting together scenes from the book because we had no way of knowing how they would interpret it. It was
Yeah.
too new. And now seeing what they're doing with it, it's just a lot of, okay,
And trying to
okay.
put it together and like, okay, I think this is how this okay. Yeah, no, we're just guessing. We're judging the book by its cover. I'm so sorry, but that's all we have right now.
That is all we have right now. There's literally nothing else to go by, and there won't be for a long time. They did not have enough to say in this
Hmm.
premiere. They stretched for like 40 minutes. The only cast that was there were Benedict and Sophie because even Golda was there as the moderator, not as Queen Charlotte.
The Queen Charlotte, yeah. Which is kind of bizarre because, well, one thing, if they were gonna do it like this, then I would have expect to Luke and Yerin have their moment and us getting all these details from them. Otherwise, they would could have should have done it as last year, where there was like more of the cast, and then everybody giving some glimpses and their thoughts on the new season, because it just felt like, like you said, like Golda just asking a bunch of things, Jess speaking a bunch, and then looking here and just being like here and there, like it's gonna be great. It's a nice love story. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you said they clearly cannot talk about it like they would like to because so much has not been filmed. But also, I still feel like it was undecided before they even went out there what they were allowed to share because so many looks over to Jess
Yeah,
Brownell, who was running the show. And I mean, she is literally the showrunner,
of
but
course.
I could feel the lack of Shonda's presence, not just because she was not physically there, but because of the way everyone was unsure on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Everyone
think
else
it
is
was.
excited about it. I have questions.
I mean, obviously, it kind of like feeds the hunger, you know? They're like, here, peasants, have a little bit of this. And the peasants are like, oh, yes, but we are no peasants in this. We know what's the deal. We want more, we want, and they did not deliver what we expected.
Right. I
But
feel
that's
if they had
understand.
just like leaned into the fact that they're still clearly deep in production and
They are.
used their production stories, it would have been way more interesting than,
Absolutely. Like even hear more on how they first met or how was that first scene. Like they kind of touch it here and there, how they were nervous about doing that first photo shoot together that we got. But it's like overall, it would have been great to see like how it was back, maybe even more about the table read, maybe even more about those little details that
mhm,
kind of tells us and how they're feeling in the world and coming back. Or even, how is it with having like Penelope being out in the open and all of this? Because then it's like we know they're gonna be happily married, babies everywhere, counting his baby, and then it's like okay, like it's everybody just living their best life, and they're gonna take how much time? Like what's gonna happen?
yeah.
It was a little confusing. I mean, I loved it, but still very like out in the open. So I was like, you guys are still in production, so you should have come up with a plan of like this is what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah. It could have a stronger presentation or just change it up. I feel like they only did it because for the last 2 years we had Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
Bridgerton announcements, but they had real announcements because there were gonna be spring drops, like Queen Charlotte
Yeah, no.
in
Yeah,
May.
absolutely. Like we had the event last year and then we got the season, like the first half of the season, like a couple of months after. They
Yeah.
were film shooting, it was done deal. They knew exactly what was going to happen. They knew the characters arc. Right now, they're still in production. We're not getting the season until next year. And we could definitely tell that even those like maybe three last scripts are not a done deal. So it's like
Right.
they might be still twitching
It
things.
felt very tense. It felt very tense. I was like, are they fighting backstage? What's happening? There was
Is
a
there,
delay.
yeah.
There was a delay before it started. We got the music, and
Hmm.
then our host, Brimsley, yes, she
Oh,
was just looking on stage like,
what's happening?
yeah, for like a
Are
minute,
we live?
dead
Hello.
air. So I don't know. I
Oh my
was
goodness,
hoping we
who's
would have
Sebastian?
more to chew on today. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really loved the table of the staff. I mean, the picture, the picture of the
Picture
staff
of the staff.
around
Oh
the
my goodness.
table.
Me too. That was one of my favorites. Oh, you know what I also, which glimpse I really liked? Violet's
Yes,
dress for the masquerade. I
that
was
was
like,
the only one
what?
that
She
made me
looks
feel like, oh my gosh,
stunning.
it's the masquerade.
I was like, this is her in the masquerade. And when Jess mentioned like how each character's masquerade will evolve something, I was like, she looks stunning. She's glowing, and I hope that just means that night she's gonna get all the gardening she will ever need in life. Because I was like, I suddenly just not care about looking
So
Yerin because look
sweet.
at this woman.
Yes, yes. Well, cheers to all the gardens being gardened as they wish to be.
Exactly. And cheers to that.
Oh, another picture that I was like, finally, we got a picture of drenched Benedict in my
Ooh.
cottage. And I was like, ha ha
Mm-hmm.
ha ha ha. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm so
honestly,
upset.
all like we have talked before, all the my cottage scenes mean so much to me, and that so scene in my head was just like always so vivid, so thinking about how like the oneness would be. And it was good to see him. It was great. It was like, oh my, he's gonna deliver a great scene. So that's
Yes.
exciting.
Listen, I'm determined to love it one way or another. It's my
Yes,
favorite book, and I collect Cinderellas in my own life, and they're gonna deliver. It's just right now they only had, swatches of fabric to show us, and that is what
exactly.
it is.
No, I mean when it happens, I'm gonna be having all the emotions. It's gonna be stunning visually. I'm excited for the visuals. I'm excited for the performances. But right now, as you know, it's just all the emotions and just the little scraps that we're getting. So it's like, ooh, here, ooh, there. But yeah, definitely it's gonna be
Truly breadcrumbs.
one
You know what I
big.
hope they keep? If they don't keep this, I will just
Oh.
we already know My Cottage is happening. It had to happen. If they didn't make it happen, they were just telling a different book. But I really hope they keep the sequence where Sophie is in Benedict's clothes because they were drenched in the rain. I want to see it. I want to see her struggle in the pants that are too big for her. That always cracks me up in the books, and I just feel like it's so dynamic and different from anything else that Bridgerton delivers.
Yes, absolutely. It was one of the things that I filmed. Like for me, it was like with like big clothes and stuff. Because I was like, this is so unique and this is so special and cute and different. And it was so funny when even when like I don't know, like she goes through all of that and he has a fever and the kiss happens next and the next morning. It's such an amazing sequence of events that happen that I'm like, please keep them as they are. They are like that for a reason.
Yeah.
And one of the positive things is that Yerin, she's actually small. So for me, it was like that's how I will always picture it. And I was like happy about my height because I was like, that's the whole point of her being like so tiny and like him
Yeah.
being like this big man. So I appreciated that for sure. So yeah, hopefully they keep the scene as it is.
Yeah.
It might be because they did mention that they spent a long time at that set. So it makes me think that most likely they did had all of these scenes to work with.
I imagine I imagine, especially because the masquerade is the most extravagant sequence in the book. Everything else is very basic. It's day-to-day living and it's
Yeah.
behind the scenes because it's Sophie's life, which is not glamorous. So they've got to go all out for the masquerade. It's the only time we're gonna get that juiciness in the costumes and stuff. So I'm excited about that. I would love, I don't know how you feel about it, but you say one of your audition materials was filming that sequence in the big two big clothes. I would love if you share that with us sometime. How do you feel about that?
No, definitely. I will. I
Yeah.
will definitely share that. I don't know if I have anything right now, but let's keep it as my in
Yeah,
my notes.
we
And
didn't
for
prepare
next
that.
one, I'll show that for sure. And it was really funny because I have like accurate like time clothings because for some reason one of my when I did Les Miserables, one of my like my coasters or whatever, he forgot his costume one time.
Yeah.
So I still have like that giant ass shirt, you know, like they had back in the days. I was just like in that and looked really big on
Love
me.
it. I did do a photo shoot in a giant man's shirt with the water pitcher. So next time we get together, please
I'll
do
show
bring
that.
your material and I'll bring mine. And I mean, that's also the point of this, of We Are Sophie. Like, we are actresses. This is how we put our work together to get the attention of the people we want to work with, whether we end up working with them or not on this project. We put the work in. So cheers to that.
Cheers. I didn't have anything. We keep sharing and
It's
there's
my
nothing.
tea.
I have my kid's water bottle. Cheers.
Rude. Well, we are coming to the end of this session. Any bold, spicy things you're like, I can't say that? Yes, you can.
Not say that. No, I mean, definitely overall, I still, you know, I feel like we're walking on eggshells with so many things, but probably they feel the same way as well. I still don't. There's this part of me that's so beyond excited and is like, let's go. And this part of me that's still a little iffy on the whole, like, how they're presenting Sophie, how they're like letting her, you know, dive her world into how she presents herself as Sophie and the whole family. But I also feel that it has a lot to do with how they're preparing them for press and how like maybe she's like this is her literal first interview as Sophie. She has like you know barely knows a couple of things and I think that's tricky. That was us. Imagine like us being like the newbies and being like you're not only new but you're the lead and you have no clue on what you can say you cannot say. So I think it's a lot of that, a lot of like so many characters are going to be around that I hope we can keep up with all the storylines. And yeah, I feel it does have a different feeling than it did last season. Like, for some reason, I felt that we were talking about a different show, different people, even though it was still very much Bridgerton. All the vibes, I was like, this is so different from what I felt with Pauline, so different, and I hope it's for the better. Like, I really hope it's because we're gonna get like a more accurate story, or because they're actually, hearing what the fandom had to say last year. What about you?
Well, I feel like Jess Brownell has her hands full,
Oh, she does.
super full. I miss Chris Van Dusen because season one was the books. And then as we've moved on, it's become basic television with beautiful costuming. But what I mean is all of
Yeah.
the characters following so many different storylines through such a tight film schedule. I really hope that Benedict and Sophie get their full time together, unlike how Colin and Penelope kind of got put to the side in their own season. So I'll stay tuned. I'm excited all the
First.
same. I'm healing as I watch Sophie Beck emerge on the stage. It is her story to tell, and I'm ready for it. Bring on Korean Cinderella. Bring her on.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see, just like she said, her own representation. And I'm excited to see, how they bring Korean drama and heritage and everything to it. Because that's definitely
Okay.
gonna pop up here and there, we know.
I have
So
one prediction, and I expect fully a new line of Bridgerton coats for the season that drops because I think of their first promotion, and that was what they were showing. That's big.
yeah.
Outerwear.
And you know how autumn is gonna be huge for them. So
Yep. We are out of time. I must say farewell. Thank you so much,
okay.
Melanie. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Danielle. Love it. We needed this.
And
Happy
happy
Valentine's,
holidays.
everyone. So
Okay, bye.
tuned.